I'm about to say something that I don't think I could have imagined myself saying years ago, but my most reliable drift car is a Ford, a Mustang to be exact. Let's talk about it.
Then maybe he stopped saving all the good beats for himself. Rockefeller's only niggas that help.
Look, I'm telling you guys, I don't really believe it either to hear it coming out of my mouth, but the car is just really proving itself. Yeah, so this car has actually never been on the channel, and if you don't know me in real life, you don't even know that I've owned this car for 9 years at this point, and it's been through a lot of different phases with me. But yeah, I think because of that, we got to have a little story time to kind of go along with why this has been a good drift car. All right, I'm gonna have to kind of go back in time a little bit on this one. We're gonna go all the way back to 2016, which is crazy that that's like 10 years ago at this point, right? But for me, I would say that was a transformative year. A lot went on that year. So during that year, I quit my job working at a shop that I was at for a long time, moved to another state to work for another shop, decided that wasn't for me, ended up coming back to Memphis and started my business at that point, right? So that's Cliff Notes, but that'll get us to where we need to be. So during that time, I'm doing this pretty much mobile. I'm renting dyno time at the shop that I used to work for and stuff like that. So I'm moving around a lot. And I was daily driving my GS300 at the time, which was, sitting low on wheels. It was a cool cruiser or whatever, but it wasn't really something you wanted to rely on for putting a lot of miles on a car throughout the week, right? Because like I said, I was mobile. I was going everywhere. So I got my money together a little bit, and I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get something reliable. I'll bet on myself a little bit on this one, and know that I'd be able to, make the payments and things like that. But I knew I needed something new with a warranty that I just didn't have to worry about. Like I couldn't have a situation where I was gonna like miss an appointment somewhere because I was having car trouble or something like that. You just can't do that. So my idea was, okay, well, let me get something that I can also have a little bit of fun with, something that maybe later on, I can play around with some drifting. And then also I was like, okay, it should as well be something that if I decided it was a brand of car that I wanted to maybe serve customers with, I can test some things out with that. So as we all know, I mean, manual transmission cars, as far as brand new cars go, are getting to be, lower and lower numbers provided. And it was no different 10 years ago. There just weren't that many options, right? So we're looking at that as, okay, I got, Mustang, Camaro, things like that. You had the Nissan offerings like the 370Z and stuff like that at the time. But to me, the car that checked all the boxes, had a cool engine, had a good aftermarket following, and everything seemed pretty reliable on them from the ones that I worked on in the past, was the Mustang S550 chassis, to be exact. So these came out in 2015. I liked the way they looked at the time. I always thought the engine was cool and everything, and it was the first independent rear suspension, and all that stuff as far as like full production cars. I know the Cobras had it before, but and it just didn't feel like a Mustang. Like even after owning this car for this long, I still will always say I'm not really a Mustang guy. I just happen to own one. But anyway, the car, it checked all those boxes. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and figure this out. Let me get one of these, and that'll be my new daily driver, and then maybe that can evolve into something. So I bought this car. I think I want to say I might have picked it up on maybe like the 3rd or 4th or something of January 2017. So it is a 2017 model. I picked it up like right at 2017. And yeah, and then the story just goes on from there. So moving on from there, I'm mobile and moving around, tuning and doing a little bit of traveling and things like that in this car for pretty much the next 2.5, 3 years. I'm everywhere in this car. At that time, I was doing a lot of work with Coilovers on their Formula D team, so I was going back and forth to Atlanta. Like what seemed like probably every other week, I was down there doing something, or some of the Formula D rounds that were close enough in driving distance, I would just drive to. Like when we used to go to Texas, that round I would always drive to, Atlanta, St. Louis. I'd just hop in the Mustang and go because it was just so reliable and I could just cruise it around. Like I said, I wasn't drifting it or anything at that point in time. I was just enjoying the car. Throughout that time, I did do some bolt-on modifications. I did some things like, I think one of the first things I probably did was long tube headers. I caught a deal on them. Somebody that had a set that they decided they didn't want and they were still brand new. Got those on a deal, put them on there. Kept the stock mufflers because it was street car still. Like everything in my mind with this car was, it can't be something that ruins it for driving it on the street. I think other than that, I probably did some, what did I do? I did some lowering springs, and I did 1-inch wheel spacers all around on the stock wheels. And then it was like that pretty much. It was pretty much the exact same until 2023-ish or so. So it just, like I said, this thing's got almost 150,000 miles on it. It's a lot of street driving and it's been great. I never actually even got to use my warranty on this car, which is what's crazy. I bought this brand new car because I wanted to have a warranty and everything, and I never had to take it in. It's really just been oil changes and gas from there. I mean, that's really it. So, but yeah, I mean, that kind of catches you up to the point of now, why are we even drifting this car, right? Yeah, so this car's actually been so good that I have street driven it to a lot of events. Proof of tire wear. But yeah, so pretty much I decided probably around 2023 when I got a different daily driver. I wasn't really driving this car that much. And of course, I still have my S14. The S14 is great. But I was just like, let me just try this thing out. I have it. And also the whole reason that I even bought a manual one when I bought it was because maybe later on I'd want to try to drift it, right? So I was like, well, I don't want to go too deep into it. Let me just try it out with some basic things, right? So I did, I think the first thing I did was just some tie rod spacers, and I tried to go out and drift it like that. And honestly, it was the most embarrassing drift experience that I've had. These cars don't drive like any other drift car that I have driven in the past, and it was just not a fun experience. I mean, I remember going to Mid Pond, and I went to drive with some people that it was my first time meeting that group of people too, man. And I was like, oh man, I'm looking like I just learned how to drift today. It was really bad. But whatever, I mean, I don't have a really big ego about stuff like that or whatever, but I will say learning drifting this car has been a humbling experience. So from there though, I knew if I was going to actually try to drift this car, I was gonna have to do some real mods to it. It just wasn't gonna do things the way that I wanted it to do it without actually having to get out my wallet and spend a little bit of money on it, right? So let's get into that. All right, so at the front, it's actually really simple. I've done a set of BC coilovers, but I did up the spring rate on them to 14K. Off the shelf, they're 7K. It was really soft with the off-the-shelf springs, so I upgraded those. And then it has a Scotty D angle kit on it. That company's changed its name now, but you can still look it up as SRD. But it's worked pretty well. I'm not gonna say it was perfect. I did change pretty much all of the rod ends in the kit because they just didn't really last that long. So I did change them to like a little higher quality. I think it comes with some QA1s, and I ended up changing it to FK rod ends for all of the big rod ends that come on the lower control arm, and also for the tie rod end. So that really improved the feel of it, and also it was so much less noisy to drive. Like I said, a lot of things with the build on this car is to still maintain the quality of street driving. There's certain things with that I didn't want to compromise, and having to make noise when I'm driving in and out of parking lots was just not it. So doesn't do that anymore, and I'm happy about it, and it actually works pretty decent. Now, just like in the front of the car, I kept it pretty simple. Once again, back here, of course, a lot of stuff you can't really see, but I'll explain to you. So first off, we've got the rear wheel and tire setup. It's 18 by 9.5 plus 38. That fits nice and flush with the fenders with the car at 0 camber. I know that's a pretty high offset when you're coming from like S chassis stuff, but that works pretty well on this car. And then I'm running the biggest tire I've ever run in drifting personally, 285 35 18. These are accelerators now. I did go through like a 19-inch wheel phase with this car because I just thought it looked better on 19s, but man, finding good tires for it just started to get tiresome. I'm sorry.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And I was like, screw this. I'm going to 18s because the tire selection is so much better. I still think the car looks better with bigger wheels, but this is where we are. But yeah, so got the wheels, BC coilovers in the rear, just like in the front, of course. The normal off-the-shelf spring rates and everything on that. And then I've just done a few arms and things. So I've got FDF camber arms and toe arms. And then I've got, FDF camber arms and the vertical links on there. And then I have BMR toe arms. If you're familiar with Mustangs and other domestic stuff, you probably heard of BMR suspension before. So they had an arm that looked decent, and the price was all right, and I felt like I could get it a little quicker than some other stuff, so ended up putting that on there. I actually just recently did that stuff. And then other than that, we've got some lockout bushings, diff bushings, just some things to kind of stiffen the rear up a little bit. And then there's also some dowels for the subframe bolts on these cars that keeps the subframe from shifting around. So I did all that stuff. I did all that stuff quite some time ago. I did that at the same time that I had a 373 gear installed, as well as a brand new differential, because my factory differential actually stopped locking up at probably around 125,000 miles or so. I don't really know why that was, but I tried to do a donut in the car and it just wouldn't do it. So I had my friend Seth. He did all the rear end work for me. He's built so many 8.8s that I knew he would do a really good job at it. The thing doesn't whine, doesn't do anything. So shout out to Seth, because it's been great. So that's really pretty much it for the rear. Is nothing crazy. I just did some basic off the shelf stuff. Doesn't make a ton of weird noises or anything like that. It's just solid enough, but there's still some give in some places, which I think for street cars, that's always the best way to go. All right, so now I'm gonna continue cleaning my wheels, because that's actually the only reason why I'm taking my wheels off today, is because when you have white wheels, you have to pay the white wheel tax, which means you gotta clean the inside of your wheels pretty much every time you wash the car. But man, they look good when they're all clean. So I'm gonna get back to doing that, and then we'll talk some more.
On the inside of the car, I kept it pretty simple because, like I said, street car, you want everything to be pretty chill. So there's no big hydro handbrake in here or anything like that. I mean, it may be something I considered doing, but it actually worked just fine with the factory handbrake. I just did the same thing we would do with the older Japanese cars. The pin turn knob, we're able to pull the handbrake and it, you know, drop without the spring. So I did that. Previously, I'd already gotten these seats, so you can see the Recaro seats. They're it's a full GT350 interior that I got like before I ever even started drifting it. So got a little bit nicer than the stock base model seat, but it could probably use a nice bucket seat to hold me in place a little bit better. But yeah, other than that, I even kept the stock steering wheel because all the cruise control and buttons for the phone and all that stuff are on there. Yeah, other than that, Apple CarPlay, still got all our AC, climate control, all that good stuff. So kept it real simple in here. Other than that, I think something else I didn't mention, not interior related, but I did put a McLeod twin disc clutch in this thing. The clutch actually never went out, but it was one of those things I wanted to make sure that I had a good clutch in the car and that everything was, you know, all good with that. So I did twin disc clutch, brand new flywheel, brand new slave cylinder at the time, and a stainless steel clutch line, because that's just upgrade. Just do all that stuff at one time, and it's been great with that. So like I said, everything is pretty simple on this thing.
Now, you might be thinking that I put all those parts on the car and I took it out and it just worked perfectly and I just looked like the best driver ever, and you'd be wrong. So I actually so when I put the parts on the car, the angle kit, coilovers, I did all that kind of in one go pretty much. I took the car out to no, actually I had the coilovers already, but anyway, when I did the angle kit, the first thing I did was I went to Slam Enough Stupid Cold event, which is just a parking lot event. So I did that. That was, you know, a good test for it. But I knew even at that event that I didn't feel really comfortable or like connected with the car. It just didn't feel right. Now, of course, it was a parking lot, so it's easy to look good in a parking lot. It's easy to, you know, get some confidence in a parking lot, but that does not translate over to a real track, especially one with some real speed. And so the next place that I think I went from there was, I think Polecat might have been my next time out with the car. And it was not good. I did not drive well at all. Like I did okay, but it was definitely, there was a lot of mistakes. I never really felt super comfortable. It was just humbling. The whole thing of like going out in this car and trying to learn the new setup and trying to learn how to drive the car. You know, it's got a little bit more weight to it and all that stuff. Like it was just very humbling. I mean, it was so bad that I had someone that I, you know, was gonna like pay for some media from the event, you know, arranged it ahead of time, and you know, at the end of the event, he was like, man, I didn't really get a lot of clips of you. You just didn't have a lot of good clips. I'm like, oh man, that's pretty bad. You know, out of, you know, a whole day, I didn't even really produce many good clips. I did end up getting a few clips from that event, and maybe I'll throw them in here. But yeah, it just, like I said, the driving was really not that good. So then, you know, kind of just went through the rest of that year trying to like dial the car in. So that was, you know, all of like 2024, just really trying to get used to it. And then as I slowly made tweaks and everything on it, the car started to feel, you know, good. I started feeling more comfortable in it. Made some more changes in 2025, and I think that's really when things started to click. And I really felt like where I would put the car is where it would go. And it was just incremental changes in the setup, you know, be it, you know, it was little things. I mean, I think early on, one of the biggest things was the front wheels were actually touching on the inside sometimes, just barely, and it would only be at full lock, at, you know, fully loaded up, and it would slow down one of the wheels, and that would make me, you know, spin or just really get unsettled. A 5mm spacer fixed that. You know, it's like, it's little things, and if you have the patience and you stick with it, you will find the things in your setup that makes the car drive the way that you want it to. So yeah, all of that. I mean, then like 2025 was like a pretty good year of driving the car. I did, you know, a few tracks that were of, you know, good size, and I was able to drive the car with some more speed, and I felt more comfortable. The car felt better. Switching to the 18s and you know, better tires and stuff really helped it a lot. But like, yeah, actually for the first time, like, felt like I was like, okay, I actually, the car is doing what I'm asking it to do. I'm not just along for the ride. So that was good. But yeah, it's just sometimes you have to stick with it. Sometimes you have to go out and look bad for a little while you figure it out. And that's what I did. But throughout all of that, the car was so reliable. I mean, it allowed me to only concentrate on trying to make it drive better, or for me trying to drive better. It was never that the car was just braking at every event or anything like that. Like, those struggles weren't happening. So, you know, if you got to have one or the other, I'd rather struggle with setup and with me, the driver, than, you know, breaking parts on the car and things like that. So take that how you will. So with all of those good things and good experiences said, I'm at a weird spot with this car right now. Like I think I'm at the place where maybe I've done everything I want to do with it. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so it's been a great car as a street car. It was amazing. Kept me on the road, got me everywhere I needed to go. It was a great car as kind of a street / drift car. Like, this is the type of car that I think would be a perfect drift week car. Outside of the tire consumption from the weight of the car, like, I have really no complaints. It performs. The engine's got enough power. The drivetrain is good. It's great on the highway. You got AC, heat, cruise control, all the good stuff. It's been a great car for all of that. But I think I might be at a point where I'm ready for a car that's more track oriented, and maybe that doesn't have those compromises. Because the thing about it, when you build a car to try to do everything, you have to compromise somewhere. And I think the places that I want to go with my driving, I'd be maybe better off with one of my cars being more of a dedicated drift car. Because, like, this car at this point kind of serves the same purpose as my S14. That S14 is never going to be a fully dedicated drift car. I enjoy driving around the street and everything else too much. I don't really want to cut it up. It's just like a fun car that I can go drift sometimes. But I think I need one that is just a tool for a purpose. Is kind of where my head's at. So, and I've been bouncing back and forth on this for a while. You know, my friends that I, you know, have talked to about it, they're probably, if they watch this, they'll be like, yep, you've been saying that for like a year. But I think I may finally be at that point where I'm like, it's maybe time to do that. No idea what chassis. It probably won't be an S chassis because the prices are so crazy. So maybe that'll give me a chance to embrace a newer chassis once again. Because I will say that part of this exercise has been a lot of fun, is that I was trying a newer chassis, really one that's still in production. You know, out of, you know, all my cars over time, I don't think I've ever really had anything like that I was, you know, playing with while it was still in production. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, like I said, it's been fun. Really enjoy the car. It's been great. It's one of those things I would recommend to someone if you're thinking about getting into drifting and maybe you got a little more money in your pocket than, you know, just buying a 350Z, and you want something, you know, a little bit nicer with a little bit more power. I would put one of these on your list. I mean, you can tell from the video that the parts list is not very long. Maybe I'll put a list or something in the description of the video, but like the parts list is pretty short and it works really well for everything that I've enjoyed doing with it. So anyway, hope you have enjoyed this kind of overview of this car that I've had for a long time that y'all didn't know about. So now you know about it. Maybe it's leaving, maybe it's sticking around. We'll see. Wait. I know there's something else you probably want to know about. So let's talk about it, okay? This is the state of the S14 currently, okay? She's looking a little bit sad. It's a little bit torn apart. I don't like how it sits right now, but it's all for a good cause. All right, so if you remember, forever ago, the last time I posted a video, I talked about I was going to make some decisions on what I was going to do with the S14. So I did decide to pull the engine out of it, paint the engine bay, and clean up just all the things. So it may not look like it, but I have already done a lot of cleaning on this thing. I took, everything out, and I replaced the head gasket on the engine, and the engine's sitting there waiting to go back in. So we'll get back to this. There will be video on this at some point. I haven't forgotten about it. I love this car. It's not going anywhere, but I know somebody's going to ask in the comments, so I had to at least say something about it. All right, see you guys later.